Okay, so let's go ahead and be detectives with the first slide you have. Every slide needs to be filled in. You're going to get classwork credit for every slide. It is super easy for me to look at the Desmos and see who is working and who is not. Okay, so when I look at this Desmos slide, I says which one does not belong. And maybe Mrs. Santos has done this with you guys before, but which one of these does not belong? And let me go ahead and make it a little smaller if I can. Maybe I can't. There we go. So when I look at these four, you go ahead and give me an answer here. Type in an answer. Which one is it? Top right, top left, bottom right. Which one doesn't belong? And if you wanted to give me more than one answer, that would be great. You could totally do that. All right. Now, when I look at this, I'm looking at this saying, okay, top right doesn't belong because the rest of them all have different, here's the word, I want to hear vocabulary, super important, different y-intercepts, correct? Different y-intercept, different y-intercept. The y-intercepts are different, okay? So that's important to know. Now, this y-intercept is at the origin. So you could tell me this one is proportional, correct? And the rest of these are non-proportional. Awesome. What's another one you could tell me? The other most obvious one is the bottom right, because this slope is going in a negative correlation. This is a negative slope. This is a positive, positive, and positive. And if you had any other cool answers you could have given me, that's fine. You could say this slope because it only goes through the bottom two quadrants. You could say that on the graph at least. All right. You could say, I don't know. There's a couple other ones that you could go on, but yeah, no, that's pretty much what I would want to see. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Now for this one, which one doesn't belong? You could go ahead and tell me. This is a little interesting because you haven't dealt too much into this with vocabulary, but let me go ahead and talk to you about it. The slopes. The slopes are in front of the x, right? This is your slope. This is your slope. And every slope is a fraction, so these are all over 1, correct? Okay. And what about this one? Isn't there an invisible 1 in front of it? And that's still 1 over 1. So you could talk about the slopes, and you could say this bottom one doesn't work because it has a negative slope. You could even say this one doesn't work or doesn't belong because it doesn't have the actual number written down, what the slope is. Now, what about the other number? What about this guy? Do we remember what to do with this guy? What about even here? This one, we could even call it 0. These are all the y-intercepts. If you remember correctly, remember we were graphing? You graph the y-intercept first. And we're going to go over graphing one more time today. Okay? Cool. So you could say this one doesn't belong because there's no y-intercept listed. You could also say this one doesn't belong because it has a negative y-intercept. Just like this one has a negative slope and the other ones are all positives. All right? Negative slope means it's going down, right? This line's going down. This one's going up. This one's going up. This one's going up. Okay? Cool. Make sure you write something there. All right. What is the slope? What is the y-intercept? Go ahead and write those down, and then go ahead and try to graph it on this graph for me, please. And when you do graph it, give me a straight line too. I want you to use the straight line tool. Okay? So when I look at this, I'm going to go ahead and try it on your own. Push pause. Now, let's go ahead and look at this. The slope is 1 over 4. Not x, just 1 over 4. Don't put x in there. The y-intercept is 2. Okay? So the y-intercept, if we're going to graph, remember, first graph the y-intercept point on the y-axis. Right there. Okay? I like doing my points, making it really large here, and just putting the point. Oops. My mouse is off a little bit, so I have to be a little more. So it's at positive 2. And then we're going to rise 1. We're going to rise 1 and run 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's where my other point's going to be. Okay? And I would love to see a straight line through it. And you just graphed it. And let's go over the graph again. Positive 2, right? Right here, plus 2. Up 1 over 4. It's up 1 because it's positive. All right? If this was negative, we would have gone down 1. All right? Cool, cool, cool. All right, try this one on your own. I just kind of covered this. Let me go ahead and cross this out. This negative, where does it actually go to? It goes to the top number, the numerator, right? So positive 3. And then we're going to go down 1 because it's negative, remember? Negative 1 over 3 means down 1 to the right 3. Down 1, oops, down 1 to the right 3. Okay, and what's the slope again? You could have gone negative 1 over 3. See how the negative's on the outside, but I always want it to go to the numerator. It's on the outside of the fraction, but it always goes to the numerator. All right, I think you guys got this on your own. Let's go ahead and keep going. Ooh, what's the slope? You guys go ahead and tell me what the slope is. If you need to work with a partner, you can. Get some help. Down 3 over 1. All right, you go ahead and tell me the slope and the y-intercept, and also, with your text box, give me the entire equation. Give me the entire equation up here, all right? I want to see it up here on the top left. Use the text box and give me the whole equation, all right? All right, ignore this part, partner talked. I'm going to get rid of this when I send the Desmos over to Miss Alonso, but this is what we use during Zoom, so I actually use this one. But go ahead and graph this. This won't be there. Go ahead and graph this on your own. Remember, the negative goes to the top. Not there, it goes to the top. That's a blank one. Oh, this is a good one. I want you to think about what is the y-intercept in this problem. Interesting. Be a detective. You guys are good at these. You talked about these. This is still not proportional, right? Because it doesn't start at 0. What is the y-intercept in this? And what is the actual meaning of the y-intercept in this graph? What is the actual meaning? Okay? A little different. All right, write out the equation. This is important, and then you have to find another point. All right, I gave you those 2 points. You should be fine writing the equation out. You can write it out up here. All right, plus 2, and then negative x means negative 1 over 1. You got this. And then I'll get rid of this again. I'm going to change this up too. It'll be a different one. All right, you guys should have no problem with this. Go ahead and do the quizzes when you're done with this.